Chapter 2263, Dark Magic Light Cannon. Bang suddenly felt utterly astonished. The enemy's attack hadn't inflicted any damage on him. He dropped his protective arms in shock, only to look up and see a razor-sharp gust of wind suddenly sweeping down from the heavens. The great sage, Heaven's equal Sun Wukong, struck down with his staff. Bang's heart skipped a beat. He immediately tried to use his bomb-making ability against the enemy. But only then did he realize that no matter existed around him anymore. The air had been completely sucked away by the telekinesis storm, leaving the earth deeply caved in, forming a crater 10 kilometers in diameter. Nothing remained around Bang. His own supply of explosives had long been exhausted. Bomb mania without external materials, he could not create bombs. This meant he must rely solely on his own strength to confront Sun Wukong's staff. At the critical moment, Bang's heart suddenly hardened. He committed an utterly terrifying act. As Sun Wukong's razor-sharp Rui Jingu Bang, carrying a torrent of gale-force winds, came crashing down, he chose not to dodge. His speed and strength were no match for Sun Wukong's enhancement. Yet his choice was utterly unexpected. He relied on the sheer strength of his battle armor to endure the blow head-on. Two arms shot out, catching the Rui Jingu Bang mid-air. The immense force slammed into his hands. He gripped the Rui Jingu Bang, but a colossal power instantly shattered his hands. Yet at that very moment, a cruel smile spread across Boom's face. For he had already infused the power of the bomb mania into the Rui Jingu Bang. At such close range, with his Black Chariot-level ability index, Sun Wukong had no chance of escaping the blast radius. Bang, now backed into a corner, chose a life-or-death tactic, aiming to exhaust the enemy's forces as much as possible. Boom! Bang crashed into the ground like a meteorite. Sun Wukong's eyes erupted with terrifying golden energy, enveloping his entire body. The explosion shockwaves rippled across the sky, leaving no trace of Sun Wukong. Yet amidst the turbulent storm, a single monkey hair drifted far into the distance. Sun Wukong materialized behind Shang Daowen, scratching his head in exasperation. That was my last external avatar. Boom! Bang's body slammed into the ground. The damage Sun Wukong inflicted was nearly unbearable for him. Both his arms were shattered. After all, he wasn't a physical powerhouse like most release department ability users. Shang Daowen wasted no time, positioning himself directly above him and unleashing a torrent of psychokinesis onto the ground. Bang lost all strength to resist. First, his body was crushed by the telekinetic force, blood seeping through his armor. Then, Shang Daowen hauled him out of the rubble like a dead dog. Blood gushed from the corners of Bang's mouth, his internal organs were severely damaged. Yet when he saw Sun Wukong standing unscathed, his eyes widened in fury, as if demanding, "Why aren't you dead?" Intelligence. Intelligence. It all comes down to intelligence gaps. His deepest hatred now surely fell upon those who leaked the Wulwan Empire's intelligence. Had this been a fair fight, he might not have won, but he certainly wouldn't have lost so utterly. Everything, it seemed, had been calculated by the enemy. The injustice was unbearable. You go first. Your kin will follow soon. Rest assured, every last soul of the Wulwan Empire will be buried with you. Shang Daowen controlled Bang's body with telekinesis, smiled faintly, then clenched his right hand with a sudden, violent grip. Overwhelming power instantly crushed Bang's armor and flesh. With a wet pop, the silver armor general of the Wulwan Empire was crushed into a spray of blood and flesh. Shang Daowen withdrew his origin power, then nonchalantly reported his victory over the communication channel. Silver Armor General Bang, eliminated. He wasn't the fastest, but few possessed abilities as monstrous as Li Changgong's, capable of one-hit kills. Upon hearing the news from Shang Daowen's group, the fighters on other battlefields perked up. The entire situation was now tilting decisively in their favor. Their admiration for Zhang Yi and Yang Xinqin grew even stronger. How had they managed to orchestrate such a massive nation-hunting operation with such precision? We'd better step up our game too. Shou Kir sat inside Flower's belly, grinning as she said, "Right, Flower? Meow meow. Flower, who had been baring its fangs at its opponent Rhine, took a moment to give Joker a playful nip. By now, Rhine was beaten to a pulp. His chains of karma could reflect damage back proportionally. Whoever harmed him would suffer equal damage. But this time, his opponent had brought a healer along. The battle lasted less than 20 minutes before he was driven back step by step, even contemplating retreat. Flower showed no urgency to finish him off, patiently awaiting Yang Xinxin's command. Now that Yang Xinxin's order had come, Flower held nothing back. The colossal beast, nearly 100 meters tall and over 200 meters long, stomped the earth and suddenly began charging. Whoosh, the storm ravaged the surrounding cities and land. A vacuum zone formed around Flower, leaving nothing intact. Its body was pitch black, with twin wings sprouting from its back and two steel whip-like tails trailing behind. Fully armed, it resembled a supersized truck. Relying solely on its own strength, it could dominate the battlefield. Yet, it opened its massive jaws, brewing an enormous black energy sphere within its mouth. Long-term exposure to Zhang Yi had begun transforming this battle pet's energy attributes. Flower's high-energy particle beam had been upgraded into an even more formidable weapon. Dark Magic Light Cannon. Pop! The black energy sphere erupted from its mouth, transforming into a powerful shockwave that instantly traversed several kilometers, striking Rhine. This strike was executed with exquisite precision. It wouldn't take Rhine's life, but it would cripple him. Even if Rhine wanted to throw himself to his death, he couldn't. Now, Rhine had no strength left to evade this attack covering the entire district. He could only raise his arms desperately, relying on his enhancement abilities as a reinforcement-type mutant to withstand the blow. Yet even with that effort, his arms and torso were nearly torn apart by the single strike. Meanwhile, Flower, thanks to Joker constantly using the Undead's ability to repair its damaged body, with an ability index soaring to 18,000 points, a medical-type mutant of such high level likely unmatched worldwide, it could heal Flower's body the instant it was damaged. Chapter 2264, Beyond the Rules, Only Loopholes. Thus, Flower didn't even feel any injury. Flower lifted its head, raising its tiger-like head high, gazing proudly ahead. The earth was plowed open into a trench stretching kilometers long and hundreds of meters deep, with Rhine lying at its far end. Boom! Flower strode forward, each step shaking the earth like an earthquake. Even its soft feline paws couldn't withstand the immense weight of its colossal frame. It showed no haste, maintaining the patience of a feline predator. Even a dying prey, even a mouse, would fight back with its last breath. It had learned well from Zhang Yi, never giving its prey any chance to turn the tables. Flower's intuition was correct. At that moment, Rhine lay motionless among the ruins, feigning death. He had fully grasped the chasm between himself and Flower. Truthfully, even without Joker, he could at most achieve mutual destruction with Flower. In terms of raw power, he was no match for Flower whatsoever. But with Joker present, his abilities became utterly laughable. The one restraining him wasn't Flower, it was Joker. Rhine could only feign death, planning to strike violently when that terrifying beast drew near, fighting for his life. Whether he succeeded in a sneak attack or forced the other to kill him in desperation, it wouldn't be a loss. Yet, in the end, he miscalculated. After Flower detected no movement beneath the ruins, a mocking expression flickered across its feline face. An enhancement-type ability user couldn't be this fragile, its power control was remarkably precise. Even if Rhine had been severely wounded, his self-healing abilities would have allowed him to rise again. There was only one reason he hadn't emerged: he was lying in ambush. Flower stared at the ruins, picturing Rhine concealed beneath them, as if watching a complete fool. Beasts might not be the brightest, but I'm a house cat. Flower spoke human words. Its built-in voice translation device allowed this highly intelligent creature to converse normally with people. In terms of intellect, it was no ordinary cat. As a black chariot-level supercat, its intelligence rivaled that of humans. So Flower opened its massive jaws, gathering another dark magic beam. By the time Rhine sensed danger, it was too late. Flower unleashed the dark magic beam from afar, obliterating the entire ruin. The sensation of pain flashed across Flower's body. It curled its lips, its white whiskers bristling. The pain itself became its guidepost, confirming whether Rhine lay beneath the rubble. Sure enough, its hunch proved correct. Rhine was in dire straits now. Hoping for a surprise attack, he'd been caught completely off guard by another blast. Whoosh! Flower had no time to linger, soaring directly into the air. Its massive wings flapped, making it resemble a griffin from Western legends, except its feline head gave it an undeniably adorable appearance. This enormous, adorable beast circled above the ruins. Its powerful wing beats soon whipped up a colossal storm. Debris and rubble flew wildly through the air across the entire wreckage. Rhine could no longer conceal his body. His battered form clung desperately to the ground, struggling not to be blown skyward by Flower. As an enhancement-type ability user, his strength derived from his body and the earth. Any time spent airborne severely weakened him. His disheveled form appeared in Flower's eyes. Flower's eyes brimmed with a teasing expression. It suddenly flapped its wings and abruptly flew off into the distance. Rhine froze. He had been prepared for a desperate fight, but for some reason, it seemed fine. But soon, he saw the massive black silhouette on the horizon flap its wings and return. And beneath its claws hung an enormous object. When he finally made out what it was, Rhine was utterly dumbfounded. Because Flower had dragged back a supersized mechanical life form. This thing, modified by Lucarin, could pose a threat to Epsilon. Though using it to take down a silver armor general-level lizard man was unrealistic, that assumption relied on the general being at full strength. The current Rhine, however, was already battered and bruised, his combat effectiveness barely reaching 30% of his peak. This colossal war beast now posed a lethal threat to Rhine. Flower set the colossal mechanical life form down on the ground before soaring overhead to watch the spectacle. "I can't kill you, but it certainly can, right?" The supersized mechanical life form automatically locked onto its target. Enemy confirmed. Initiate immediate annihilation. Without hesitation, it unleashed tens of thousands of cannons, bombarding Rhine with relentless fire. Rhine was utterly hopeless. He fought desperately, absorbing each energy cannon blast with his flesh and blood. But he was already too weakened. Ultimately, he collapsed under the relentless barrage. The backlash of the law of cause and effect also caused this colossal mechanical life form to be completely destroyed. Flower tilted his head in surprise, not expecting this creature's karmic counterattack to even affect non-living entities. Fortunately, they had prepared long ago. Otherwise, he might have met his end here today. Flower approached and swallowed Rhine's corpse whole, along with its origin. Its consumption was supremely efficient, leaving not a shred of energy wasted from the high-level mutant's flesh. Cheong-Chi has completed the subjugation of the enemy. Zhou-Kir relayed the report on its behalf through the communication channel. On the front lines, the successive deaths of the Silver Armor generals weighed heavily on the hearts of the remaining mutants, deepening their despair. This state of mind severely impacted their combat effectiveness, making it impossible for them to focus on the fight. The most desperate struggle belonged to Slake, locked in combat with White Emperor, Jiang Guanghan and Tushan Najeo, Hu Mengfang. Though her two-legged serpent form allowed for subterranean escape, the entire eastern city had become their hunting ground. Mercilessly driven toward the central district, they created utter chaos. Left with no choice, she resorted to hit-and-run tactics against the pair. Leveraging the massive, sturdy frame of her beast form, she managed to hold her own against the duo for a time. Yet soon, an even greater despair descended. The heavenly Iron Curtain was lifted, revealing 3 super warships arriving. Their powerful ultraviolet beams enveloped the entire Wulwan Empire. Then came the news of the imperial capital's fall. The relentless barrage of grim tidings sent a chill through Slake's heart. In that moment, she realized the Wulwan Empire might cease to exist after this battle. After much deliberation, Slake resolved to make a decision that defied ancestral tradition, to flee. On the battlefield, the first Silver Armor general to choose desertion had emerged. Chapter 2265, The Greater Righteousness and the Lesser Righteousness. She plunged directly into the earth, frantically tunneling toward the horizon. Hu Mengfang and Jiang Guanhan waited for a long while, but Slake did not reappear. The two men were stunned. Where did she go? Could she have fled? They exchanged glances, their eyes filled first with disbelief, then with utter contempt. As exemplary soldiers, they despised deserters on the battlefield above all else. Especially a commander like Slake, abandoning her troops and people to save herself. See? Trash exists everywhere. Jiang Guanhan sneered contemptuously. Hu Mengfang countered, forget that for now. She might still be plotting an attack from underground. Jiang Guanhan nodded. Then let's proceed. He swung his heavy hammer, spiraling down from the sky. The shockwave radiated outward from the hammer's spiral trajectory, crashing violently into the earth. Boom! The spiraling shockwave instantly obliterated the entire district, shredding tens of thousands of lizard men in a single blow. Green flesh and blood flew everywhere, the ruins resembling a scene straight from hell. Fortunately, the lizardman's blood was green. To human eyes, it didn't appear bloody at all, but rather possessed a peculiar beauty. Two Epsilon-class mutants charged straight into the battle lines. With no opponents of equal caliber to block them, they tore through the enemy like tigers among rabbits, cutting through them effortlessly. In the blink of an eye, the three bridges blocking access between the eastern city and the central district were cleared. The pair pressed on toward the central district, showing no mercy to any lizard men they encountered along the way. Those lizard men soldiers who laid down their weapons and surrendered were spared for the moment, awaiting a later execution. Where was Slake at this moment? She hadn't left the Wulwan Empire, instead, she fled toward the central district. Indeed, as a noble and a powerful silver-armored general of the empire, she resided near the imperial palace. Though Slake was a warrior, she also had a family. She didn't need a husband, merely choosing a male lizard man with seemingly favorable genetics to bear her two children. Realizing the war's outcome was irreversible, she abandoned the battlefield and her duty, choosing instead to flee back to her home. The luxurious wealthy district, once serene and peaceful, was now shattered by the constant explosions and panicked cries echoing from all around. Though the district was guarded by dedicated troops, even these soldiers were now trembling with fear. Yang Xinxin's words echoed in their ears, making them waver between upholding their duty and laying down their weapons to surrender. When Slake returned, she avoided the main gate, opting instead to burrow underground. Her identity was too conspicuous, and she was too ashamed to let anyone know she had deserted. At this moment, her sole desire was to take her two children and flee this hellish place, soon to be consumed by war. Arriving home, her children immediately rushed to greet her. Her eldest son was 30 years old, yet appeared only about 10 according to human developmental stages. Her younger daughter looked no more than 4 or 5. Mother! Seeing Slake, her panicked children rushed forward. The servants in the house also looked worried. General Slake, what's happening outside? Have the enemy forces been pushed back at the front lines? Slake hurried forward to embrace her children. Don't be afraid, Mother is here. She went to the secret chamber at the back and retrieved a large trunk, a wartime supply box containing food, medicine, clothing, and battle armor. It had been prepared for emergency missions, designed for easy transport. Now, cradling both children in one arm while hauling the heavy crate with the other, she prepared to leave. Noticing the servants' anxious gazes, she said, "Vels, hurry back. Your children need you." Slake knew the human coalition forces would soon arrive. No, they had already seized the palace. This nation was finished. As for the Vels family, death was almost certain. All she could do now was grant them one final favor, let them die together. Ignoring Vel's stunned expression, she pushed open the doors and left the house. As she stepped outside, an energy cannon shell suddenly slammed into the ground nearby, erupting in a deafening roar. The earth trembled violently, while chaotic shouts and curses filled the air. "You damned guards! Get out there and drive those refugees away. No, we're done. The capital, Emperor's capital, has fallen, and you nobles are still showing off. I'm out of here. I'm going back to protect my family. Most of those left behind were women and children, guarded by the soldiers. But as waves of refugees poured into the city and the Huashu kingdom forces advanced in force, panic began to spread. The guards refused to protect them any longer, grabbing weapons to rush home and shield their own families, plunging the area into chaos. Slake couldn't spare a thought for this. Leaving the Wulwan Empire by airship or submarine was now too dangerous, they'd be too conspicuous, certain to be targeted. So she planned to exploit the chaos, disguising herself and the children as ordinary lizard folk to escape. She aimed for other districts. The fighting had only spread to the eastern and central districts so far. With this strategy in mind, Slake seized a standard spacecraft and fled with the children toward the outskirts. High above, Lou Karen piloted the super battleship, stuffing food into her mouth while monitoring everything below. Not a single one can be left behind. Zhang Yi's words were etched into her memory. Without the protection of the heavenly Iron Curtain, every citizen of the Wulwan Empire was now under her surveillance. Ships attempting to take flight and escape were naturally no match for her surveillance. Lou Karen took a bite of pastry, snapped her fingers, and on the display, tens of thousands of ships attempting to lift off and flee the Wulwan Empire were already locked on. Fire! Lou Karen pressed the attack button. In an instant, massive eyeball-like spheres protruded from beneath the super warship. Like dazzling, multicolored lanterns, they unleashed thousands of brilliant beams. Boom! 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 The sky erupted with dazzling fireworks as one spacecraft after another was blown apart mid-air. The super warship's firepower was so overwhelming that even large spacecraft struggled to withstand it, let alone these small, domestic-grade vessels. In an instant, the first wave of thousands launched spacecraft were all shot down. The subsequent waves fared no better. The sky was littered with shrapnel from exploding vessels. Screaming pilots, having lost their bearings, collided and destroyed one another. Slake's heart sank. She could only fly toward the southern city district from a low altitude. The chaotic spacecraft around her seemed piloted by drunken men. Panicked pilots flew haphazardly forward, nearly colliding with Slake's ship multiple times. The children let out terrified screams. "Don't be afraid, Mommy's here." Slake reassured the children while activating her ability. Her eyes turned gray. Wherever she looked, surrounding ships froze mid-air. Then, one after another, they plummeted from the sky to the earth, exploding into fiery balls.